we can start. And I'm going to share my screen. And let's hide this one. And I've got, this was the last one we did. I've got it open already. I can't, the last we did was the employee assessment skill that was sent, an interview question. Yeah. And I remember that every time, you know, when you open your Power BI anew, a fresh page, the first thing you want to go and do is to get data. So you get your data in. We've done this get data bit a lot of times, you know. So you get your data from whatever source that you're getting it from. It could be Excel workbook, any source at all. There's more here. Could be from the web, you know, from any database. Could be a file on your drive, any power platform. You won't necessarily use all of this. For work, the most common ones would be Excel text file, maybe from folders, but most importantly from SharePoint folders. I don't have that SharePoint on this computer, so I won't be able to show that. But it's basically to just, so you click on it, you connect, and it would ask you for the URL of the SharePoint, which you will get from your SharePoint. You put it here and you okay it, and it brings in whatever file or folder is in that SharePoint. So it's just the way you would bring in your data from the web, you know, just the site URL is all that needs. And then when that is done, when you have brought the data in, it just takes you into the Power Query editor, which is more like a home outside a home, if you like, you know. So it's somewhere where it does all the cleaning work, it's like you're trying to prepare food now. So it does all the cooking, adding ingredients and, you know, all the like. So this is where you do your data manipulation, you know, from. At the moment, this is erroring. And I'm sure it's erroring because I brought this in from, so I sent it to my email and opened it here. So it's not finding the source. So the file, the original file of it is not on this computer. So it can't find it, you know. That's why it's telling me to, if I go to error now, edit settings. So it's telling me that this is the path through which I brought the data in, which is true. I used my work email, work computer rather, to bring it in. Now I've opened this on my personal laptop and it can't connect with the source of it. So there's trouble. So if I could get that file now, save it on my computer, then browse and look for it wherever I put it on my computer, then I'll be fine. You will be able to see it. But I don't want to start looking for that right now. So I'll cancel that. Let me see if I can go. Yeah, I can get back here. But I'm glad we saw that your Power BI must constantly be in connection with the source where you have brought it from. That is very important. If not, it will be throwing up errors on the transform data on the Power Query, you know. And you can always, if, for example, you saved that file in documents before, for some reason you moved it to desktop, it will also throw up that error, you know, that I can't find it from documents anymore. So all you need to do is then, just like I said, go back to that source, this source here, you know, or you go to the error and change whatever path, wherever it's currently is, just change it, you know, or you can just browse and look for it. I can't do that now, like I said, because I don't have the document on here, so that won't be that will not be applicable. So I'll close and apply and just come on here. So we clean the data, however you want it to appear, or however you need it, not want, you need it. There's a question, a business question you are answering, and that is what will determine if you are adding any extra column or if you are doing any cleaning. And when we are doing our cleaning, we remember that data types are very important. We have to be sure that numeric data is seen as number or currency. Text is seen as text. Date is seen as date. If not, then when we do our reports, it won't really be nice. We won't get the desired result. So I'll leave this page alone. Open a new page. And is there any questions so far? Is that a good reminder of what we've learned so far, or you need more clarification?
Yeah, just to check. Since I'm just seeing this data for the first time anyway, maybe because I didn't join last week or so. So do we have this data, please?
We do. It's okay. We did this last 2 weeks. This was what you might not have exactly this visual, but if you look at competency, employee list, skill lookup, skill assessment, this was the data that I think, was it Mr. Deleke sent, onto the platform?
No, Mr. Dotun.
Someone sent it onto the platform that we worked on, and we said, let's bring it to the class. So if you look at the Power BI class of 1507, that's the one. That's exactly what we have there. So it's not different at all, except you went in class on the 15th. But if you were, then it's the same data. Yeah. Thank you. It's just this visual, because this was what I sent to him. So this visual is what I used. But I believe we didn't use exactly this, my own matrix, last 2 weeks. And we can, okay, you know what? Let me clean this up and we can try again. I can't remember what the question was, but I think we wanted to look at under each skill, what the scoring was for each person, and if I clicking on this, you will see that matrix was highlighted or is highlighted. So that tells you that I've used matrix, okay? And if you look on here, on the row, we've got skill. So all I did was just drag and drop. Let's build this from the scratch. I hope I remember what is where. So first name and sum of value, okay. And I'm going to take that out. Okay. So I want to use matrix. So I come on here to use matrix. Matrix because I believe it's going to explain what I'm trying to explain better. Sometimes table is what you need to use, but in this case, I need matrix. And I need to look at skills, not this. What was in the row session? Forgotten. Yes, it was skill. So immediately I clicked on skill here. We want to look at skill against each person and how each person scores on each of the skills. Okay, so skills has come to row. If I don't want skills on that row, I can always just drag it and bring it to column. But if I bring it to column, there's too many skills. It's too much. The list is too endless. So that's why I prefer my skills to be on that row. Having said that, it's still very long, but it's better we view the list that is really many as a row. Then I put the first name, and this is just how it interprets to me. Someone else would use something different because we all think around problem solving in different ways, and because the full name under employee now, the full name is too long, and I don't want too many items on the column. So I've just brought out the first name. So I put that in and see it's brought the first all of their first names. Let me remove this for now. Let's remove all these slicers for now. They're just taking space up. Okay. Even at that, we can't even exhaust it. But the good thing is you've got the scroll bar here where you can scroll, you can scroll up and down, right to the left, left to the right, to be able to view, everybody properly. And then we are trying to look at their skills, what is their rating, and that's where the value is. So I'll look for under skill lookup, is it? No, under competency, which value actually tells us the rating? I've forgotten what this data is about myself as well. Okay, it's the value, because this is where we have, those that don't have any understanding, 0, they are rated as 0. Basic understanding, they are rated as 1. So I click on that, and that automatically goes under value, and it's saying sum of value. Normally, it's not summed up actually, but it's saying sum of value because it's number, okay? So I can decide to say I don't want any summarization for it. So I've just clicked on here, right click to look for, I don't want sum. So let's say no, okay, that's fine. That's why it's not really summing it. So it's ticked no calculation. So when you bring your fields in, you can always right click to look through what more. If I wanted average, I will go for average, minimum, maximum. If you want to count, count distinct and different mathematical values like that, you've got them all on your right click when you right click on here, okay? So I can easily see that Beverly under administration and document control scored 3. Now, if we then don't know what 3 stands for, this is where we need our slicer, the one that I deleted before. I'm going to minimize this. And this is just clicking and dragging to change the size of it. So I click out, okay? So I choose my slicer here. Slicers are for filtering through, just so you can make better sense of your data, So, and there's a rating somewhere here where we know which one is 1, which one is 2. Scoring scale, I believe. All of these were put into our data in the transform data, and we've got the recording that we can go and rewatch, So if I wanted basic understanding, to see those who have basic understanding in what, I can say that Beverly has a very basic understanding in analytical ability. And if I don't want to use this as my slicer, better still, to make it even easier, I want to actually use 1, 2, 3, because I can see 1, 2, 3 figures in the values here. I can still bring the figures in. Okay, so it was, yeah, I can bring the values into this slicer here. And it's presented it in this format, But I don't want this. I want to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So while still picking this slicer, follow me to this right-hand side here. We haven't really talked about this bit before, This that looks like a paintbrush is where we format our visuals. So if you click on here, and this is the one I want to format, okay? So whatever you pick is what is going to be formatting for you. So you want to be very sure that you've picked the right visual there. So I come on here, and under the paintbrush, I've got visual and I've got general, okay? Under visual, the first one I've got is slicer setting. Slicer setting because I'm clicking on a slicer, okay? So if I expand that, there's different options of style that I can pick. So let's click the drop down button. This is where you choose what you want your slicer to look like. At the moment, it's highlighted between. That is a value between 0 and 5. But that's not what I want. So let's look at each option. I've got vertical. So vertical just brings a vertical list of each one of them, which is more preferable for me, you know, in this situation. Okay, I've got tile. And tile just brings it in form of different tiles like that, you know. I've also got drop down. So if you are struggling for space on your report page, you can just use drop down, which doesn't take much, you know, much space. You know, I find it also, or this also very useful, such that you can click and then expand to pick whatever it is that you want to pick. You want to see all the zeros. So the meaning of it, no understanding. So you can see that when you pick 0, you are looking at those which absolutely no understanding about what the skill is. So Beverly has nothing at all where audio recording is concerned. And we've got a few more who have no idea at all about audio recording. And those are the ones with the zeros there, you see. So, but in this case, let's go for the vertical list because it's just easier to see all of the figures, you know, all of the values that we are talking about. Okay, what more can we get from this format visual? There's quite a lot. Say slicer heading. Let me see if there's more under slicer settings. There's more. Apart from the style, we've got the selection. Okay, so it's saying single select. I've switched it off because I might want to select more than one at a time. Okay, but if you want single select, you just need to, you know, bring that, switch that on like that, and it does, but I want it off. This second one says multi-select with control or command. So before I can select more than one, I've got to use a control. So let's check that out. So I've clicked on one. I want another one. So it's just picking one at a time. But if I want to pick more than one, I will have to click down my control, which I'm doing now, and click on another and another. No, I don't want to go through that hassle to have to, you know, click on control. So I switch that off as well. Now it's saying show select all option. So if I switch that on, so I can always, you know, select all of them, or I can come and without having to click down my control button, you know, select as many as I want. So this is a matter of choice for you. You can, you know, walk around this the way you want yourself or your stakeholder to be able to use it. So that's that about selection, you know, under slicer setting. Then we have the slicer header. Okay. It's switched on at the moment. If I switch it off, we see that it's gone off. Okay. Do I need it? Again, that's your decision to make. It's always advisable to have a title, a header, yes, so people know what they are clicking on. What's this about? Okay. So if I click it back on, it says value. I mean, value does not really tell me enough information. What value? Value for what? You know, what is this measuring? Okay, so this is where I then come here and we see we can change the title from value. I need suggestion. What's the best definition or title that we should give this slicer? Because we are going to change it here. Suggestion from the house. Can you still hear me?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so these values are showing us the skills level of these people. So I'm now asking, what should we name this as rather than value? I need input.
Probably rating. I'm not sure.
What did you say, sir?
I said probably rating. If that's
yeah.
an option.
Yeah. Okay. That sounds perfect to me. So we can say ratings. I'm just going to enter that. So, and that changes it straight away. I can decide to not use this font. Most of the time I use Arial. So I go for Arial and that changes it. If that is too big, I can increase or decrease the font from here, like we normally do with fonts, you know. I can decide to bolden it up, italize it, underline it. However, you know, I can decide to change the color of it here, okay? So if I at the moment it looks what? It's black. I can decide to change it to white, okay? And that disappears. I can decide to have it as blue, you know? So whatever your decision is, it's all about, you know, beautifying your report. And yeah, this is where you do that where slicers are concerned. It's also got something for, let me see if that's all. Okay, there's show summary, which I switched off. Let's see. Ratings all. Okay, I've never used that function, to be honest. So I'd rather leave it off. But if we have someone in the amongst us that knows what this show summary is all about, that would be nice. And then the border, okay. The border, again, let's have a play around. So top, so it's drawn a line up there. Bottom, left, and right. Okay, so that border is just for the heading or the header of it. And if I want to change the color to be a little darker, you know, so just different, you know, things to play, quite exciting as well to play around with there. This is the creative side of Power BI, which is quite fun, you know, so I'll leave that alone, just so we remember that we did something like that. And that was that about border. How about the background? Okay, at the moment, the background says no color. Okay, I want color, okay? So I can either just click on here again. So we've got all these colors to choose from, or we can decide to use more colors. Sometimes we get the hex code. Maybe the colors on your company's logo, you know, the marketing department might have exactly the shade, the code of the colors that the company uses. And you want your report to conform to what your business stands for. This is where you come to you know, to fix it, hashtag whatever code it is, you know. And for different shades, you see that changed a little bit. The contents here changed. So for different shades, you've got different. This is where we get a cockroach brown or ewedu green, you know, all of those different shades of colors. This is where we come and cook them up, and different stuffs for blue as well, you know. So it's it's a matter of what is it that you want to achieve. And you might decide that you want that color to be conditionally formatted. So you don't want it to be just fixed. Here we get it all fixed. You might want it to be conditionally formatted, you know, such that if I click on the fx there, the function of x there, I can decide to say, okay, I want a gradient, rules, or field value. So based on a certain field value, what field should we base this on? Maybe based on, you can pick any you know, column that you want it based on. You are the one that knows what you are trying to achieve, you know, on here. Okay, so I can say maybe based on the value, maybe based on the value. Okay, then what? Okay, that's not working. Let me go to rules. Rules always works for me. What field should we base this on? Field, sum of the value, summarization. Normally I don't want a summarization, you know. So if I want to say if the value is greater than or equals to, you know, again, we can use the drop down to check through. If the value is blank, if the value is greater than or equal to, you know, whatever it is, the minimum, if it's greater than or equal to the minimum, and, you know, that is grayed out. So you just need to reason out whatever it is that you are trying to make it to conditionally format into. We'll do more around conditional formatting when we get the right data for it. It might be that your data refreshes every day, and you want a kind of a color confirmation when a certain target has been hit, or when you are below target, such that even before you see the number, you can see the color when you refresh that, oh, this is not right, or, oh, yes, we are really doing well. That's what conditional, you know, formatting is about. At the moment with this slicer, it's not very, very relevant, but it's good that we touch on it so that when we get there, we'll understand more. So that's that. All of that was just under header. And then the values. Again, we can change the font of all of these values. So we can decide to say, okay, because I've used Arial before, why not? I should use Arial again. Now this is looking too small. I want it a little bigger. Okay, so I make it a bit bigger, maybe bold as well, you know, and that's, you know, changes things up for me. If I want the color to conform with what I've got for the heading, okay, I can decide to leave it at that. There's padding here. Let's see, okay. So there's a kind of change, you know, to maybe the spacing, you know, so it's making it bigger. It's all about what is it that you're trying to achieve? How do you want your result, you know, to look like in the end? And, you know, compared to the basic one that we started with, we can see a bit of, not a bit of, a lot of difference, you know. And that's what formatting your report or your visuals is about. I can decide to click out, so I'm not choosing any of them just yet. Click out and decide, okay, I don't want this white background that we've got here. Okay, again, it's still going to be this brush that we go for. Okay, and under the brush, we see a lot, page information. Okay, so that's the name of the page, which is here, team skill and competency level. Okay, so you might want to change it there if you want. Allow use as tooltip. If you want to change this page to a tooltip, okay, if I click on that, it would allow us to use this page as a tooltip for another page. Okay, we've not gotten there yet either. So Allow Q&A, allow question and answer, okay? So I think it's good that that one is on. Add terms that might be used to refer to this page. Separate your list with commas, okay? So I'm not going into that just yet, but it's good to know that that is there. Okay, that's the page information. How about the canvas setting? And that is this white background here is your canvas setting. Okay, because I've said allow question. Doesn't mean I want to ask question just yet. So canvas settings. Okay, so this is where you can increase or decrease the height and the width of your canvas. Okay, 16:9 is what we've got at the moment. Let's see 4:3. You see that changed things up for us. Letter. Okay, this is what I've got. Tooltip. You change it to a tooltip. So if I link this to another page, it becomes a tooltip for another page. We'll see what tooltip is in a moment. And if there's a custom, if you want to customize it in your own way, you know, maybe 240 by, what is this saying? By 320, you know, that's what we've got at the moment. If you want to change it, you can always do. I'll put this back to 16:9, which is the common bit, common page measure that we normally use. Then we've got a background, which is, you know, this background here. Let's see. If I say I want to change again, the color that we have seen and seen, if you want more, you know, under different color shades, under yellow, under green, different greens, under blue, sky blue, you know, it keeps going on. So you can play around with color and try and blend your colors well together. Okay, so let's say I want to decide to go with that, or if you've got an image, you know, that you want to get from somewhere, an image that you want to use as background. I'm sure Mr. Azim was showing us something around. We can make our own background and bring this in. That would be a good place to do that. We can observe that this background has not really changed despite changing the color. Okay, so then I will come to wallpaper. I believe wallpaper is what changes that background actually. Okay, so this background is actually called wallpaper, which is quite confusing to me sometimes, you know. And then we see a bit of how you can, you know, adjust your transparency here. Okay, so if you want it to have 0 transparency or 100% transparency, I don't always come this way because nothing I change on there ever changes. So it would be that it's myself that's not really understanding what that function is for just yet. But under wallpaper, if you look at the moment, it's got 0% transparency. You know, if I bring it to 100% transparency, it's become completely transparent. But I don't want any form of transparency. It brings it back to that. Or I just want 50% transparency. You know, it brings that much opaqueness to or transparency to it. You know, so as you play around with the background, you can also play around with each visual, as well as the way we've played around with this slicer. You can do the same with each visual that you have, you know, on that page. So let's say I want to change things up here as well. So I pick this visual, and the first bit says visual, like we've seen, style presets. So that's the default that I'm using. If we click drop down, we've got none. Let's see what none. Okay, so that changes the style to no style compared to the default that we had before. Okay, minimal. Okay, so that's just having lines to separate between. If I want bold header, Okay, that changes things up again. Alternating rows, that changes that up, you know. Contrast alternating rows. Okay, so this might be what some of us want to use. Why not? Flashy rows. Okay, brings that. Bold header flashy rows. You know, so just you know, play around and see what you end up cooking up. You know, at the end of the day is what I would say with that one. So I'm back to how we started, and that is just about the style. Now the grid. Okay, it's turned off at the moment, horizontal grid. Let's see if I turn it on. Something changed. I can't really see the grid, maybe because we already have all these lines in, you know. Yes, actually, because we can see the color. The color matches, you know, that. Okay, let's turn it off again. Okay, so it's not too far off from the default setting. Let's say I just want to change that color a little bit to this. Oh, now we see what the grid is. Is the lines in between. Okay, and I want to change the width, make it thicker than that. Okay, so maybe that's not really a very nice. Okay, this looks a little kinder to the eyes. Okay, how about the vertical grid lines? If I want it on, again, I can decide to use the same color, you know, for the vertical grid line. And it's not every time that you use all of them, but it's good to know that it's there if you need to use it. Okay. Border, it says border. I think we've seen this before. Yes, we've seen these the border lines before. And we just, you know, using all the options there, but the color, if we don't want blue for some reason, this blue seems to be okay because of the blue here, you know. But if for whatever reason, that's not the blue shade you want, okay? So values. So we can, again, change to Arial. It's always good to have consistency in the fonts that we use. Okay, we can decide to increase it a little. Now, the header is really small, okay? So we can, again, decide to go to the headers and change that as well. And increase the font of the header and maybe bolden it up too so it's more readable, you know. There's the alignment here if you want it aligned center, it's there. There are more options here. Auto size width. Okay, I switched that off. So there's different things. I don't want us to dwell too much on this, but yeah, there's different things that you can go on to achieve, and you can decide that you want the backgrounds here to blend in, you know. So if I want this background to blend in, I just click on this and I come to my general, and I look for that transparency, you know, that transparency effects. Yeah, that transparency button again, and I just let it blend in like that. And then I'm just gonna make the value a bit bigger than that and bolder so that it's more readable, you know. Okay, I can bolden it up as well. And the slicer heading, I can decide to switch it off and have just that, you know. And we can see a sharp contrast between this and this. So not very good. So I'll change this to something, to this kind of format that I've got here. So rather than go through all of that process again, I'm just gonna click on this. So I've picked this slicer. There's a brush here under home called Format Painter. So I'm going to click this Format Painter. You see, when I move it, it's brought the brush picture. So I just go onto the visual I want to copy that formatting on or in, and just click on there. It just changes it all up. So that saves you the job of, having to repeat, the same thing all over again. You can always copy the format from one visual and bring it onto another visual. I'm trying to remember if there's any more thing under visualization that we could. I think we can actually deal with something like this as well. How we can different visuals have different formatting options, rather, not just formatting options that you can, let's say we want to look at competency area, so I'm clicking on competency area, and I want to use that to look at how many skills are under each competency area. Okay. Let me pick my competency area from somewhere else if that's not picking. Okay, bring it to a table. So I'm bringing it to a table first to see what the problem is. Okay, so I've got this. Delete this out. Okay. So I want to compare the competency area and how many skills are under each competency area. That's what I want to check out. Okay. So, but we can see that it's not counting just yet. Skills I want counted. I don't want all of the skills brought or their names brought at all. So where I've got skill, that is skill. I've come to my visualization pane, which is here. And I'm just going to right click on this, on skill. I've picked skill. I'll right click on it. And you see, you've got different options. You can remove the field, rename it, rename for this visual. You can move it. You can conditionally format it, But what I want to do is I want to count distinct. Okay, so I want to count it distinctive. Okay, so because it's text anyway, the most math you can do on a text field is to count it. You can either just count it. Let's look at the difference between count and count these things, because we saw that we've got this count distinct and we've got count. Let me click on count and you'll see if there's any difference in this case. It seems there's no difference in this case. So it's bringing the same thing. But the difference between count distinct and count is count distinct will not repeat counting the same thing. So if I've got three blues in a list, it will count the 3 blues as 1 because blue is distinct on its own. But ordinary count will count those 3 blues as 3. I hope that example makes sense. But yeah, I want this to be counted as distinct. So, but I don't want this in table format just to really showcase what I was trying to show. I want this to be, maybe let's use a stacked bar chart. Okay, so I changed that table to stacked bar chart. Let's see how we can format this stacked bar chart. Okay, again, to format, we come to this brush, this paint brush, and we can see for y-axis, first we can turn the y-axis off and we can turn it on. This competency area is our y-axis and this count scale is our x-axis, and we got the title up there. Okay, so let's say I turn off the y-axis. So it completely removed y-axis. I don't even know which is which. So that's not a good idea. I'm going to turn it back on. But the title for y-axis, I don't want. I don't want that competency area there, because anyone sees software skills, business improvement, professional, they can see that it's competency area that we are talking about. So I'm just going to click on the, down arrow there. If I want this again to be Arial, I use Arial. If I want that to be increased, I do that. The color says it's gray at the moment. I don't like using gray because for ease of readability, I'll make it bold. I'll make it black. So we can see the change. Max area width, if you want, you can increase and decrease, the area width according to what you need. And that's that about value. There's different options here. But the title, so this title on that y-axis, I want it off. So that gives me more space as well. Okay. Count of skill on that x-axis. Let's see if there's more here. So again, if I switch off my x-axis, it completely takes it off. Okay, which I can actually, because if I switch that back on, x-axis is showing the numbers, how many skills are on there, on each of the bars there. Okay, so if I decide that, okay, just because I want a bit more space on the bottom, I want to switch that off for now. Okay, let's keep going. I want my grid line. It's actually off, so that's fine. Okay, there's something we call data labels. You know that I switched off x-axis, so we don't know where is 0 starting from, what is the maximum number, we have no idea, okay? It's always a good show of visuals to use our data labels. So rather than having the x-axis, and it's not compulsory, this is just my opinion now. I'll switch on the data labels, okay? Then under that data labels, it says series. Okay, also that's all there is on that one. Position, where do I want the data label? When I switch the data labels on, you can see some numbers appear on the tip of each bar. So software skills stand for 18, 9, 9, and so on. So I prefer to see those numbers like that and see it at the bottom where I'm not able to really know which is which. So if I decide to see it inside end, so show it from to me, but inside end like that, or outside end. So I want it outside, okay? Or inside center like that, or inside base like that, okay? I always prefer the inside end option. And those values, we can make them, look better than that. They're quite tiny at the moment. So I'm going to increase that. I mean, the white color looks okay in my own view. We can bolden it up, and that pops out very well. It's easy to read as well. So that's fine. You can decide to leave the title so we know what these numbers are showing us, that we're just counting how many skills are under each competency area. Okay, I may decide that, okay, I don't want the color blue for my bars. Okay, so I come back to bars and change whatever I need to change. You can see that that blue is what's been picked. Okay, so I can decide to, what color? Suggestion from the house, what color should I go for? I want to hear somebody's voice.
Pink.
Pink, okay. Is it this shade or we should look for another shade? I can't hear you, sir. Should we do another shade of pink or this is good?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, right. Perfect. Okay. And we can decide to say, okay, since we've changed the color, let's change the font color to black so that the data labels can, pop out better. Values. Yeah, data label values. So I'm in the right place. Let's use black. Okay. So that shows better, just give me a minute. Let me get a second rather. Let me get my charger. Sorry about that. Let's see, we've got some charts. Okay, that's fine. All right, so we can decide to not have a white background for here. We can change the background color. There's something that I haven't mentioned that we can quickly mention, and that is there are some already preset designs that we can choose from under view. Okay, so I can decide to use this design. There's quite a lot of them. Okay, let me pick my visual. So I can decide to change my design to any of these for this report. Okay, let me see if that changed anything here. No, okay, I see. So, yeah, you can decide that you don't want to do all of that hard work and just pick a design from here. You see how that changed up. It changed up our initial color. Let me look at this one. That brought us back. So this gave us this option of design. So we can play around different, I can decide, okay, I love the background. Let me move this to the middle, okay? And okay, but I don't like the fact that this background here is a little off, okay? So I'm picking my visual and I'm coming back to the paintbrush. And I believe that the option for transparency, I use transparency a lot under effect. So I can decide to make it go transparent, okay? And then I can do a bit more formatting. So black is not looking too good anymore for my y-axis because that's just disappeared in. So I come back to my y-axis, change the color from black to maybe white actually, okay? And if I want, I can leave my bar labels to remain like that if that agrees with the way I'm saying it, you know. My title has also disappeared, and I'm sure we haven't even talked about how to change title. Okay, so title is under just after properties. Okay, so I can decide to have it off, which completely takes it out, or on. On is always good because then I know what I'm looking at. Okay, so I'll change it to white so that it also pops out. I'll change it to Arial so that it's consistent. I'll bring it to the middle, so align it middle. I like to make it bold, maybe a little bigger than that. Okay, but I don't like that title. It says count of skill by competency area. We can, there's a way we can word that. Let's word it in a better way. Who can help us reward this so that it sounds more professional? Please help.
How about skill level by competency area?
Okay, so skill level by competency area. Okay, so okay, so yes, that makes for a better read. Thank you very much, sir. I'm still not really very okay with this color of my bar. Okay, so I'll come to general and see what I can do. Under bars, it should be visual. Well, yeah, visual, and then the bars, and we can just change that color to something that blends better. you know. So yeah, this is now where I think this kind of has a better color scheme with the background, you know. So that's what I remember about how to, play around your visualization and just achieve the result that you want to achieve. It's always best, and I'm sure Mr. Azim already told us in one of the classes, it's always best to have an end picture in mind. What do you want it to look like? So then you're not just doing you're not just gambling around what you are doing. You just have that clarity of this is my end products. It's always best to start like that. Then you can build up towards that. That's all I remember about visuals and how to do a visualization. Have we got any question at all? Do we have people who are going to be trying this out?